So today I wanted to speak on this Living Bhagavatham, this thesis that Srimad Bhagavatam is an anthology of the Lord's loving pastimes with his devotees. It's a very deep statement, and there's a lot that is assumed there before we even start unpacking this. There's a lot of assumptions that are being done here. First and foremost, is the Lord is a person, right? You are a person. So you and the Lord both exist. You and the Lord are both persons. And now something else has to exist. What exists between the lover and the beloved? Love, bhakti. So as we go, try and keep these three things in mind, right? And we'll, it's mentioned that Krishna is the Lord of threes, actually. So as we go forward, we'll see these recurring themes of threes, right? Actually, before we even continue, this next three, it is actually mentioned that all Shastra, all spiritual knowledge, only deals with three different subject matters. Anybody know what these three subject matters are? Not quite. Any sadhus in the crowd? It starts with S. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So Sambandha is the knowledge of who are you, right? Who is God and who am I? What is the nature of that relationship, right? In order for two people to exist, there has to be a relationship. There's me and my wife. That means husband and wife, then there's roles, there's a relationship, there's activity between the two, right? Me and my son, similar, there's two different personalities, but similar, there's a relationship in between. So Sambandha is understanding who am I in relation with God, who's God, who's the Lord, who's Krishna, and understanding what is our relationship. Now, if you have a relationship with someone, it's not stagnant, right? It's not, oh, it's always like this. It's dynamic, it's growing, it's changing. Any husbands in the crowd, you know that the relationship between you and your wife, it's not the same as when the time you first married. It's grown, it's changed, it's become something different, right? Any siblings in the crowd, you and your sibling have been together since as long as you guys can remember. You're not the same people. The relationship is not the same. It's evolved and it's changed. Similarly, our relationship with the Lord should be growing and changing. It shouldn't become stagnant. Now, Abhideya is how to achieve a goal, right? So if we want to be with God and we have a loving relationship, how to achieve that loving relationship. And Prayojana, anyone know what that means? Is the attainment of the goal. So once you've attained that goal, what does it look like? Once you've gone to Krishna, what does that actually look like? Right? What does transcendence look like? So these are the three subject matters of all spiritual knowledge. Actually, this is how we can test and see if what we're reading is actually really spiritual or not. It will fall under the category of these three things. Okay. So in this regard, there is this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Purnam Brahma Samhitham Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakra Bhagavan Rishi Nrishriya Shaya Lokashya Danyam Swati Anyanam Mata Mahat. So, this Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God. And it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. So the first time I read this, I thought it meant I read Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary, like literally. But no, it is the literary. This is actually changes things a lot. But actually, it's really one and the same. Right? I thought, oh, it's literally Krishna. So at first time I read, I thought this is Krishna personified. And now I came and I read, It is literary. So that out of all God takes the form of the best of everything. In the 11th canto, 11th chapter, 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna starts stating of all these different things. I am this, I am that. Of the aquatics, I am the shark. Of the mount, of all the great things, I am the mountains. Of all purifying things, I am the wind. So he starts stating all these different things. He's the best of everything. So of all literary things, of all physical books, of all literary knowledge, Krishna is Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should not take this Srimad Bhagavatam for granted. Right? There is a joke in ISKCON that there is mantras to put the Lord to sleep and mantras to wake the Lord up. Similarly, there's mantras to put the devotees to sleep, and there's mantras to wake the devotees up. Put the devotees to sleep, you chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The boys are falling asleep. And then to wake them up, you chant Mahaprasadam Govinde, and all the devotees get back up. So similarly, we have to take this seriously, right? We have to understand that this is the actual Lord coming in front of us. So when we hear these words, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, it is like hearing the conch shell blowing 3 times. We hear this mantra, oh, the Lord is appearing. The book is opening up. He is manifesting before us. This is the way we should take this Srimad Bhagavatam being chanted, being recited. So there we have that. It's the literary incarnation. It is a person. Srimad Bhagavatam is a person. Next, it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva. It has a father. Bhagavan has a father. And every time the Lord appears, he has a relationship. The Lord doesn't just appear like that, right? Even Nrsimhadev, who was the father and mother of Nrsimhadev? Pillar, yeah, very good. So even he came out of something. He doesn't come out of nothing. There's a relationship, and even the devotees will know when a devotee sees a pillar and thinks of Nrsimhadev. It's like there's a relationship between you and a pillar. Devotees and a pillar. There's a relationship. For the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we look at a pillar and we think of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his sentiments. So just see how a devotee can start looking at even a pillar and just would start relating it to Krishna. This is the nature of especially Krishna Katha. It illuminates everything, it touches everything. Next. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Satchitananda. This is not different than our Sri Bhagavan. This is my Radhanath. Right? So this is the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declared that Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless sound representation of all Vedic knowledge and history. There are selected histories of great devotees who are in direct contact with the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of Lord Sri Krishna, and it is therefore non-different from him. Srimad Bhagavatam should be worshipped and respected as we worship the Lord. Thereby, we can derive the ultimate blessings of the Lord through its careful and patient study. As God is all light, all bliss, and all perfection, so is Srimad Bhagavatam. Dear Prabhus, please pay attention to these words that Prabhupada has put here, that thereby we can derive the ultimate blessings of the Lord through its careful and patient study. Srimad Bhagavatam is a great collection of work, but it takes some time and it takes patience, especially coming to it a little bit day by day, a little bit day by day. Not just getting so enthralled that we go and we read 2-3 chapters of Bhagavatam and then we don't touch it for 3-4 months, right? It's just, this is mode of goodness, just reading it little by little, taking that patience, just having that nectar. Little by little, even if you need one verse at a time. But I promise, if you start with just one verse at a time, you can't. You'll start, okay, one more verse, okay, one more verse, 5 more minutes, okay, let me do one more verse. This is actually the intoxicating nature of Srimad Bhagavatam. We can have all the transcendental light of the Supreme Brahman, Sri Krishna, from the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, provided it is received through the medium of the transparent spiritual master. It's a big point we'll get back to. Lord Chaitanya's private secretary, Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, advised all intending visitors who came to see the Lord at Puri to make a study of the Bhagavatam from the person Bhagavatam. Person Bhagavatam is the self-realized bona fide spiritual master, and through him only can one understand the lessons of Bhagavatam in order to receive the desired results. One can derive from the study of Bhagavatam all benefits that are possible to be derived from the personal presence of the Lord. It carries with it all the transcendental blessings of Lord Sri Krishna that we can expect from his personal contact. So in other words, have faith that this is none other than Sri Krishna himself. And it's even described that the first two cantos are the Lord's lotus feet. Then the next few cantos are the Lord's legs, and then abdomen, and then it becomes his arms. The ninth canto is his chest. This is where we read about the Lord Ram, right? And then as you go up into the eyes are the 10th canto of the Lord, where you're looking directly to having direct darshan of Sri Krishna himself. The same way that we go when you take darshan, starting down at the feet and work our way up slowly, this is actually how we should have the same patience in taking darshan of Srimad Bhagavatam. That same on reverence, that same love and respect, and becomes even more than on reverence becomes love. And actually, this is like a lotus, it is opened up to us as we read. Because actually, as you go through reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you start seeing all these relationships that Krishna has with the Lord. And at first, it's some things, especially if you were born in Indian race with hearing Mahabharata, or pastimes you maybe have heard of, Ashwatthama throwing the Brahmastra, as Lord Krishna going in and saving his devotee in the womb of Uttara. And you hear about like the passing of grandfather Bhishma Dev. But what starts becoming very apparent as you start reading Srimad Bhagavatam is that the Lord will manifest himself in so many miraculous ways, in ways that you would think, I didn't even know the Lord would manifest himself in this way. Right? You read about Radhanath when the Lord came in the form of a boar. Who would ever think that first that the Lord would manifest as a pig? If you think of a pig as something dirty. For the pleasure of his devotees, he manifests himself in so many ways. And you think, oh, I'm so fallen, Ayadina. But who's Krishna? Hey, Krishna Karuna Sina, Dino Bandhu, he's the friend of the fallen. So even reading this Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear of some other personalities who have fallen and hear, there's some hope for me still, right? And we get all these lessons and we get some inspiration, because ultimately, how is it that we learn anything in this world? Yeah, through hearing, right? The hearing and seeing and listening. But actually, it was described that there's 3 different types of intelligence. First type of intelligence is when you hear something and you understood, right? I tell my child stealing is bad. He is first class intelligent if he just heard it once and understood stealing is bad. But if I go and I catch him stealing something and I chastise him, he sees someone else getting chastised for stealing, he sees, that's why you don't steal. Then he sees it, that's second class intelligence. Third class intelligence is after he goes, he gets punished, he steals, I punish him and he learns. After that, if he goes and he does it again, fourth class intelligence, which is barely considered intelligence. But in the same way, we should be intelligent and honor Srimad Bhagavatam and really hear it. And we are so blessed to actually have received Bhagavatam in its, as it's mentioned here in the verse, through a transparent via medium. Srila Prabhupada was so concise with his wording and so concise, not only how he translated, but in the mood in which he translated Srimad Bhagavatam. Because you can't just translate Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? If there's letters, love notes between two people, and you try and read it verbatim, it might not make sense. Because these two people might have dialogue, certain jokes, certain ways of speaking that only they understand. Right? So if you try and read it, it might not make sense, or you might achieve some other meaning. But someone who knows the intimate relationship between these two people, they'll be able to tell you, oh no, this is what they mean. Actually, this is very close to this person's heart. So they mentioned this. It sounds like they're chastising, but this is actually, they're expressing their love. Things can be revealed. This is the important issue. Right? We're talking about love letters between the Lord and his devotees, right? Stories of love. How can we understand that love? We're not someone that's directly attached to those personalities. Can explain to us what is happening. Okay. So, what is Shastra? You say this is the best of all Shastra. What is Shastra? Any ideas? Different forms of Shastra?
Manuals for how to live the life.
Yeah, very nice actually. Yeah. Manuals for how to live your life, sacred texts, like the Puranas, the four Vedas. And actually within each of the four Vedas, it has four branches, four subdivisions. And these are different forms of stories or histories. And they go into great detail. And actually, right now we're in one yuga, right? This is just one of the many yugas that have happened. And out of all the yugas, you bring those together, they come a collection of yugas, they come one mantra. So sometimes you might read something in one Purana, but then you read it at the same pastime, right? Srimad Bhagavatam, Dhruva Maharaj is 5 years old. You read in another Purana that all of a sudden he's 8 years old. And another one, he was only 3 years old. Which one's correct? Actually, these little minute details can change, but the actual pastime doesn't. Because these things are cyclical. They happen again and again, yuga after yuga, right? And there's some pastimes, some avatars of the Lord, like the Das avatar, that happen every yuga cycle. Every single time they will appear in this way. But there's certain avatars of the Lord, certain manifestations that only happen once in a rare time, once in 100 yuga cycles, or once in the day of Brahma, such as our Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so now I state this to bring this point up. So long ago, Lord Brahma, the grandfather of the demigods, preferred severe penance, and as a result, the Vedas appeared, along with their 6 supplements and their Jnana and Karma text. Then the entire Purana emanated from his mouth, composed of eternal sound and consisting of 1 billion verses. It is the unchanging, sacred embodiment of all scriptures. You should know that of the various divisions of the Purana, the Brahmana Purana is the first. The figure 1 billion cited above refers to the number of verses existing in Lord Brahma's domain. Srimad Bhagavatam's 3rd canto gives a similar description in the passage starting with the words Rajagyur Sharanatha Vakyahan Veda Privriti Bir Mukher. Beginning from his front face, Lord Brahma manifests the 4 Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, respectively. Bhagavad Gita 3. Oh, sorry. But in this passage, we find the statements when Lord Brahma, who knows past, present, future, created the 5th Veda, the Puranas, and the Itihasas from all his mouths. So the 5th Purana is known as the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is sometimes considered the 5th Purana. So this is to be understood that actually Bhagavatam is huge. We only have this little aspect of Srimad Bhagavatam that is manifested in this world. actually, it is millions of verses. It is huge, Srimad Bhagavatam. So the same way that, the sun will sometimes be covered by clouds and sometimes it's full, sometimes partially cloudy, it's just a little bit of sun, sometimes full sun. Right now, in this current time, we only have a certain amount of Bhagavatam that is present. Yet, because it is Krishna is completely pure, completely whole. Om Purnam Purnamidam. He is always whole. So even though it is just a little bit of the totality of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not different from the totality of Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Right? Because you can't separate part from the whole when the whole is the whole. This is a bit kind of heady things to digest, but it's very interesting and it's very, I think, apropos to understand how great Bhagavatam is. Right? We, due to our limited consciousness, only perceive this little bit of Bhagavatam. But Bhagavatam is actually ever increasing because the pastime of the Lord is ever increasing. They're unlimited. So, with that said, what we have of Srimad Bhagavatam, we should very much honor. And we should pray that one day we can actually enter into the pastimes of Bhagavatam. Right? First through our meditation, but the way to do it is through service of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this age of Kali Yuga, what's one of the best ways to serve Srimad Bhagavatam? By reading it and sharing it. Sharing the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is what Prabhupada says, this is our family business, this book distribution. And if you want taste of Srimad Bhagavatam, you distribute the taste of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is so glorious. Right now, we just passed Purnim. So this next full moon, in 2 weeks, we have a full moon coming. If anyone has not started reading Srimad Bhagavatam yet, it is advised you start on a full moon. If you start reading it on a full moon, you get all these blessings that are coming in. You'll even read it as you start. That's one of the first verses. If you start reading Srimad Bhagavatam on a full moon, you'll actually receive the blessings of being able to finish Srimad Bhagavatam. So if anyone has yet to do that, the auspicious time is coming in 2 weeks. 2 weeks time. So speaking of time, we come to Purushottam, which I just want to touch on lightly, because again it shows the merciful nature of Sri Krishna and the pastimes of him and his devotees. So for those who don't know, Purushottam, the month we're in right now, is an extra month. So the same way that in Western we have leap year to kind of rectify the math of the extra time that's within the circumambulation of the sun. But instead of doing a leap year every 4 years, we actually add a whole new month in the middle of it. This month, for some, especially the Smartana Brahmins, is considered Malamas, right? And this month, no yajnas are to be performed, actually. One time we actually had a couple who came to the temple. They wanted to get married. They came to Hawaii to get married. We were the only Hindu temple there, and they wanted to come. They go, we want to come get married. They wanted to come get married in this month only. And there was one other Hindu priest who was like, we can't do it. It's Malamas. There's no auspicious time to get married. What are we going to need to do? So they came and. For some, this is considered the most inauspicious month. To others, Purushottam is considered the best of months. There's quite a few different reasons to why, but to make matters rather short. So the same way that books and rivers have personalities, same months also have personalities, actually. And even like the Vedas are personified, even verses. Like verses themselves, my Guru Maharaj told me, if you want to learn a verse and get the blessings of the verse, you pray to the personality of the verse. And they're actually persons, right? You can have association. Even kirtan melodies, I was told. Kirtan melodies themselves are personality. And some have nice personal relationship with these different things. So these months have personalities. And this Malamas was feeling very aggrieved because all the other months are honored and have these things, and they have all these blessings, they have sacrifices. And this Malamas had nothing. She was dejected. She came crying to Lord Vishnu in this way, please, please, just, if you're not going to give me anything sacred, at least take my life away. I can't do this anymore. Like, what's the point of me existing if there's nothing? I can't offer anything to you. And actually, she said it, and she was crying so much that she fainted. Vishnu actually very lovingly ordered Garuda to fan her with his feathers. And after some time, she came back to consciousness. And Malamas was like, oh, please, Vishnu, please, why keep me alive in this state? Lord Vishnu, feeling so much aggrieved for her, actually having compassion onto her, said, you know what? Chill. And he took her to Goloka Vrindavan. Here in this Goloka Vrindavan, actually, the light, it was mentioned that the light emanating, this is from the Padma Purana, the light emanating was so much that she had to hide behind Vishnu. Just of how brilliant Goloka Vrindavan is. And nevertheless, she was crying. Sri Krishna Bhagavan came and was like, hi, what is this? Someone crying in Goloka Vrindavan? What's going on here? What is this? Vishnu said, no, look, this is Malamaj, she's in this condition. And she's like, I have no Prabhu. All other months they have consorts. I don't have anything. I can't offer you this. I cannot do that. Like, she's like, so Krishna said, no, it's okay. No more crying, right? In the material, you considered Malamas. But I'm considered Purushottam. Purushottam means the best of all beings, right? So from now on, I will consider you Purushottamas. So not only my devotees sometimes make offenses, but on this month, no offenses are taken. Not only that, but anyone who has bhakti, their bhakti increases. And actually, in another pastime, Sri Krishna himself is describing the glories of Purushottamas to Draupadi, right? Because Draupadi was in the forest and she's lamenting of her condition in the forest, and they were exiled. For those who don't know, they were exiled for some years in the forest. And during this, actually, Krishna talks about the glories of Purushottamas and actually how we shouldn't neglect Purushottamas, and recites to her the story of how there was once this young girl, a daughter of a great rishi, who found herself unmarried at an old age and ended up wanting to find some husband. So Durvasa Muni came and said, oh, honor Purushottamas, it's the best of all months. It's even better than Kartik. She's like, what? And she made an offense. She actually blasphemed. Nothing can be better than Kartik, or you're a fool. She did this to Durvasa Muni. For those of you who don't know, Durvasa Muni is not the Muni you want to talk back to, right? He's known as like, actually, I've once heard a description that Durvasa in Sanskrit can mean hard to live with. So he's the Muni who's a bit hard to live with because he can famous for giving curses. So he actually cursed the daughter of this rishi for not honoring Purushottamas. And afterwards, she became so grieved that she started doing austerity for Mahadev, and finally got darshan of Purushottamas. And just by getting the darshan of Purushottamas, because all her beauty left and everything, all her afflictions went away. And actually, it's mentioned, Krishna mentions that the next life of this daughter of this Muni, this soul went into the yagya hut of King Drupad. And this person ended up being Draupadi. So actually, this mentioned here, obviously it's all Leela, but one of the reasons that she was facing all these difficulties was because she didn't adhere to proper honoring of Purushottamas. So in Draupadi's previous birth, she was this daughter of this rishi who committed offense to Purushottamas. So another reason why honoring Purushottamas is very, very important. I don't want to go too much time over. So any questions at this time?
My name it says Purushottam is best, right? And at the same time, it's the Malamas also.
Right. So for the material consideration, it is malamas because there's not actually no auspicious dates, right? Because it's an extra month. But Krishna is actually given the benediction that actually it's the best of the months. So actually for the wedding, this wedding pastime, what we ended up doing is actually yes, Vishnu is asleep, Mahadev is asleep, all the demigods are asleep, so none of them will come in for the wedding yajna. So who are we making this wedding yajna to? The Brahmins came together and they decided we'll do a yajna. You will be wed by Giriraj Maharaj because he is from Goloka Vrindavan, who doesn't follow these Purushottam. He never sleeps. He's constantly engaged in service. So Giriraj became the predominating deity of the wedding yajna. So these people were married under the auspice of Giriraj Maharaj. So that was that little Vedic loophole. But yeah, so it is considered the worst of months for the karmis because yes, it's true. If you do any yajna now for material benefit, no material benefit. But if you do any sacrifice for spiritual benefit, tenfold. So of all sacrifices, what is recommended as the best sacrifice for this day and age in Kali Yuga? Sankirtan Yajna, otherwise known as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare. Any other questions, comments, chastisements? How much time do we have? 15K. Jai. In case nobody had anything to say, I have extra verses. Oh, perfect.
I said that I wanted to volunteer make this move. So coming early for the job circle, the door gonna be unlocked right now?
No, it will.
It will?
It will be open.
Okay. All right, thank you. I just don't want to drive all the way up to Muskegon and then just be locked out.
No.
So I have to make sure. Thank you.
Any question? Us. Thank you.
Thank you.
When it is starting, how can honor?
So yeah, it is. So there's can be some confusion about this. So according to the Tithi of which we are at, it actually started for us today. For India, it started yesterday. And again, this is all based on the lunar calendar. So the way we calculate things isn't solar. So it doesn't necessarily, we're not calculating things by sunrise and sunset rather than the moon, the phases of the moon rise and set. So this is why for us, it actually started this morning. And I was honoring it. I've heard that actually it is very auspicious to read the 10th canto during this month. Now, there's this stipulation that one should not read the 10th canto unless one has read all the other cantos leading up to it. Our Srila Prabhupada, being so wise, actually wrote something called Krishna book. And this Krishna book is actually 10th canto. He just wrote it in a way that's easy to digest, and it's read more as a story, like almost like a storybook. It's very, very nice. If you haven't read it yet, I read it to my children before going to sleep. It's very, very nice. So this is increasing one's reading. If you haven't read up to the 10th canto, reading some Krishna book before going to sleep and immersing yourself in actually hearing Krishna's actual pastimes. Increasing one's rounds if you're chanting. There's I don't know if anyone has access to cow dung, but you can make lamps, little cow dung lamps, and offer those to the Lord during this month. It's also very auspicious. I'm blanking a bit, Prabhu. Any other ways you can think?
I
Mhm. Yeah, actually my research, I've seen anything from it's 10 times the amount to 10,000 times to 100,000 times the amount. So whatever the sale is, I'm buying. The more rounds you can chant, the better. And again, jiva doya nama ruchi. The more we can be merciful to other living entities, show a real mercy to other living entities through offering prasadam, speaking to them about transcendental topics, even just walking down the street and saying Krishna, 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 Gora, 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 you're producing transcendental sound vibration. And it creates an effect. I promise you. We went out on Harinam 2 weeks ago, or a week ago now, and it was so nice. That same spot we were all doing Harinam, me, my family, my 2 kids. I once sat there at the same place as a brahmachari, same chanting Hare Krishna Mahamam. That time it was just me and one other. So at least now it's growing. So I was just one, now we became 4. So we can't even fathom actually what is being produced, how much. It's actually mentioned that it is unfathomable to actually understand how much nectar is produced by just the syllables ha and re, krish and nam, or even just the syllables ra and tha. It is incalculable how much nectar comes out of just those 2 syllables. Okay, any other questions? Comments? Now I have this nice little point of how to combat, because right, we can see Srimad Bhagavatam as Shastra, we can see it as the Lord, but we can also see the Lord as our ally, right? As same as Arjuna was going through the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna was his ally through the battle. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam, Shastra, is our ally in these battles, right? This verse, with sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to this message? So here, again, there's quite a play on words. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work. What's another word for sword? Any Sanskrit scholars? Shastra. So Shastra can mean literary, like something you read, but it can also mean sword or weapon. So by the sword of knowledge, right, this weapon of knowledge, we can actually cut the thing that binds us, right? When I call someone a sadhu, what does sadhu mean? It means one who cuts. What is he cutting with? Shastra. What is he cutting? Our bondage. So you call someone a sadhu, this is what sadhu means, right? We want to feel like we are sadhus. You want to become sadhu, this is what it takes to become sadhu. You have to cut, but you have to know your weapon, right? There's another verse in this same mood, Bhagavad Gita 4:42. This is the last verse of the 4th chapter. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bhakta, stand and fight. Very famous Bhagavad Gita verse. And that same mood is, yes, we are the lovers of Krishna, but we're turning towards Krishna. But when we have to turn our back and be in the material world, know how to arm ourselves, right? So our consciousness isn't swept away. These day and age, it becomes so easy. These things, it can either be one of two: a weapon of mass destruction, a weapon of mass distraction, or a weapon of mass devotion. All databases on him, all, like everything you want to find, all the Prabhupada's recordings are on this, or every distraction of Maya is on this too. You have to be wise, right? We have to, It is sword, right? It's a sword. Am I going to hurt myself, stab myself with this sword, or am I going to offend myself? We have to be wise in that regard. Any questions on this aspect of understanding Shastra to be knowledge? Knowing what we're cutting, how to cut it. Another great point that was brought in earlier, and I touched on it a little bit, about the purity of Srila Prabhupada. This is actually one of the reasons why he called it Bhagavad Gita as it is. He's not changing anything. He's not adding his interpretation. He is letting Shastra shine on its own 2 feet. And he is letting Bhagavatam be Bhagavatam. He's not trying to take people's money for this or that, only for the service of Sri Krishna, only to produce more books and keep Sri Krishna Chaitanya's mission going. This kind of purity, we have to constantly be examining ourselves, because the hankara, the false ego, the mind, at any little bit is going to try and twist things. And this is actually one of the reasons that reading with devotees is very nice. It's very recommended. Because even just one person by yourself, right? I mentioned earlier how I misunderstood that verse at first. Those little misunderstandings can be rectified. That if you and another person are reading out loud together, oh Prabhu, it's not that, it's this. Oh, sorry Prabhu, you're right. So that reading in community and sharing and relishing Srimad Bhagavatam is very important. You know, if there's husbands and wives or anything like that, boyfriends, girlfriends, reading together. If you can come together and for a moment, you know, you have your desires, I have mine. For this moment, let's sit together and read for the pleasures of the Lord. So beautiful, that relationship will flourish. You guys won't be coming together for whatever reasons people can come together, but the basis will start becoming Shastra, and you will relish that Shastra together more than you can relish anything else. It's very, very nice. It's something that I'm very grateful for. My wife and I, we wake up in the morning, get to read a bit of Srimad Bhagavatam together before I go to work. And it's also amazing how Srimad Bhagavatam will speak to you. I don't know if anyone's ever had this, that you're reading or you hear something like, oh my gosh, I'm going exactly through that. How did they know? Or even sometimes I've seen some devotees will just open up Bhagavad Gita, right? And whatever they open it up to is exactly what they needed to hear at that moment. It is alive. It is living. The Srimad Bhagavatam is living. Don't be fooled by the material eyes that can only see inanimate things. Right? You should learn to feel and see with the heart. Right? Lord Vishnu, Sri Krishna, he's very amazing actually. He can eat with his hands, he can hear with his mouth, he can impregnate with his eyes. Right? He's completely whole. And actually, as devotees, as we become more and more advanced, we slowly start taking a little bit of these qualities. Our senses start shifting. How so? We start tasting with our ears. Actually, as devotees, this is what we taste the most. This is what we use to relish the most, actually, this writing. We hear the Lord's pastimes. They're so yummy, they're so delicious, they're so sweet. Right? You hear the stories of devotees with devotees. So nice. You learn to relish things with the ear. And actually, this is Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is the cream of all, nectar of all the Vedic knowledge. I almost want to just pull up Bhagavatam right now and read it. Just curious, do we have any copies of Bhagavatam for sale at the gift shop? We do. We have a few copies. If anyone's interested, like I said, it will change your life and it's amazing. And the purports, try not to skip the purports. I know it seems like sometimes it can be a lot, but it's what allows you to go deep. And actually, to this state, to this reading Srimad Bhagavatam, especially as a Westerner, I'll mention this. I didn't know the pastimes of Mahabharata and all these things when I first read it. So by able to just read the translation and just get the narrative, get the story line down, and then going back and reading the purport, then I've already understood the story, and then I'm going deeper and deeper and deeper into the well of Bhagavatam. As I promise you, every time you reread it, every time you go back, there's always something that you miss. There's always some nectar that's been brewing, it's been growing. Try any questions? And we have some people walk in. Any questions, comments on Srimad Bhagavatam or Purushottam? Okay. I think with that we'll end. Thank you, everyone. And please take advantage of this most auspicious Purushottam. Truly, chant as long as you can.
My love is you guys.